So this is part 2 to my last video. I was talking about how we're like-minded. We're called to be like-minded. If we are truly saved, those who are one with God, we follow Jesus. Um, we all have the same mindset. We're all like-minded, right? We're supposed to be, for sure. Um, and so I was reading Philippians chapter 2, and I ran out of time, so I'm going to read the rest of it here. This is in verse 20. For I have no man like-minded who will naturally care for your state. For all seek their own, not the things which are Jesus Christ's. But ye know the proof of him, that as a son with the Father, he hath served with me in the gospel. Him therefore I hope to send presently, so soon as I shall see how it will go with me. But I trust in the Lord that I also myself shall come shortly. Yet I suppose it necessary to send to you Epaphroditus, my brother, and companion and laborer and fellow soldier, but your messenger, and he that ministered to my wants. For he longed after you all, and was full of heaviness, because that ye had heard that he had been sick. For indeed he was sick nigh unto death, but God had mercy on him, and not on him only, but on me also, lest I should have sorrow upon sorrow. I sent him therefore the more carefully, that when ye see him again ye may rejoice, and that I may be the less sorrowful. Receive him therefore in the Lord with all gladness, and hold such in reputation, because for the work of Christ he was nigh unto death, not regarding his life, to supply your lack of service toward me. So I'm going to back up earlier in chapter 2, where it says, Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Jesus is God. Jesus, at least from what I can understand, has always been here. I mean, at least the Bible doesn't specify when Jesus was created, if he was created. But I guess he wasn't, right? Because Jesus is God and God wasn't created, so I guess Jesus also wasn't created. He is the Son of God, so maybe God did create him at some point. I only know so much, guys. The Bible only tells us so much. But we know, I think we can assume, I assume anyways, that Jesus was definitely at least here when, existed when the earth was made, because God said, let us make man in our image. If God was the only one there, well, he's not talking like that. He's not going to say our if it's just him, right? So, yeah, Jesus has been around a while. He's existed longer than when he came here 2,000 years ago. He's existed way longer than 2,000 years. That's just how he came down in the form of a man. That's why it says there, in being found in a fashion as a man. His purpose of coming down to earth was to fulfill by coming down on the cross. He came down to die, to sacrifice himself. And people have to say like, that's not love. No one who loves their son would send them to die on a cross. It's like, if he didn't, we would all just go to hell. That's love. Not letting all of humanity suffer in eternal pain, that is love. Sometimes you have to do a hard thing to help so many others. And there's no greater example of that than the cross. Yes, it is love. Of course, God took no pleasure in Jesus suffering. But it was for the ultimate good. So yes, it is love. If there was no purpose behind Jesus going to the cross, of course that wouldn't be love. But of course there was purpose. That's why he did it. He wouldn't have even come to earth if he wasn't coming down to sacrifice himself, right? Right? Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Jesus is God. And, if you declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. We can't stress that enough. For the longest time, back when, I didn't actually used to read my Bible, I used to think that the gospel was John 3:16. And it is, right? But what I mean by that is that I was just like, well, if you want to tell someone about how to get saved, you tell them John 3:16. But John 3:16 is telling you why we can be saved, why we are able to be saved. Right? The main message is, for God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. So yes, that is the gospel. That is how you get saved. But I find that to be telling us why it's possible because Jesus sacrificed himself on the cross. Whereas I believe the one that should be preached even more than John 3:16, or at least as much, is Romans 10:9-10. That is beautiful. That explains how you get saved, right? I mean, I think they both do technically, more or less, but yeah, it's just so helpful to know that oh, that's all you do. You just call on the name of the Lord to be saved. You believe that Jesus really was here on the earth, that you just cry out to him. You call on his name. And if you don't believe that Jesus really walked the earth 2,000 years ago, you have the antichrist spirit. That might sound crazy. You might be like, what the heck? Where did that come from? What are you talking about? That's insane. It's no. That's in the Bible. That's what it says. Let me go look it up. 1 John chapter 4. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that confesseth not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is in the world. Ye are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them. We are of God. He that knoweth God heareth us. He that is not of God heareth not us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God, and knoweth God. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. God bless you guys. Peace.